it's Julie, and welcome to your Chittenden County Real Estate Market Update. We are talking about last month, July's numbers, as we head into the month of August 2026. If you've been feeling burned by bidding wars, this topic is for you. Maybe you've lost on multiple homes, felt pressured to waive contingencies, or simply hit pause on your search because the market kind of became exhausting and you've been sweating. If that's you, August might be the month to start paying attention again. We are seeing the market transition out of the peak spring frenzy and into a typical, more late summer rhythm. Yes, prices are still strong and it's still a seller's market, but buyers may finally have a little bit more breathing room than they did really just a few months ago. So today we're looking at what has changed over the last month, and more importantly, what that might mean if you are a buyer or seller in the Chittenden County market. Okay, starting with prices. The median sales price did continue to climb this month. Overall, the median increased from $525,000 to $572,000. Single-family homes rose from $615,000 to $640,000, and condos increased from $428,000 to $445,000. That tells us something important. Buyers are still out there. They're still willing to pay a good price for quality homes. So if you've been waiting for prices to suddenly fall, that's not exactly what we're here to talk about today. Instead, the opportunity for buyers isn't lower prices necessarily. It's just a market that's becoming a little less frantic, making it easier to make those thoughtful decisions. And for sellers, rising prices are certainly encouraging, but buyers are becoming more selective. Presentation, pricing, and preparation matter just as much as they did really during the height of the spring market. All right, now we're going to look at one of my favorite indicators, days on market. Last month, homes were selling in a median of 6 days. This month, that increased to 7 days. Single-family homes moved from 5 to 6, and condos from 7 to 10, so that was a bigger jump. Before you think necessarily that that's a slow market, it isn't. A week on the market is still incredibly fast, especially from what I'm hearing from other areas. But compared to the nonstop urgency buyers felt this spring, even an extra day or two can make a real difference. It can mean having time to schedule a second showing, talk through your financing, or simply make a more confident decision instead of feeling rushed. And that's really an important shift, even if the statistics don't even seem that dramatic. Next, let's talk about new listings. We actually saw a slight decline this month, moving from 278 new listings in June to 267 to close out July. And honestly, that's not necessarily surprising. June is traditionally one of our busiest listing months, so it's common to see listing activity taper off slightly as we move deeper into the summer. The good news though is we're still seeing significantly more listing activity than we saw last year or several years prior, which means buyers do continue to have more opportunities than they've had, historically. So while we may be past the seasonal peak, we're not necessarily back to the extremely limited inventory that we experienced before. All right, for months of supplies, this tells us how much inventory is actually available based on the current pace of sales and buyer demand. This month, overall supply moved from 2.4 to 2.2. Single-family inventory eased from 2.4 to 2, while condos remained relatively steady at 2.7 months. At first glance, that might sound like we're moving backwards, but the bigger picture is that even at 2.2 months of supply, we're still well above where we were even in the previous years when we were almost below 1 in many pockets. Inventory has improved substantially compared with the extremely tight conditions buyers have been dealing with. So while July saw a normal seasonal pullback, the market remains healthier than it has been for quite some time. Looking at pending sales, it's also telling us something important. Buyers haven't disappeared, they are still out there. Even with higher prices and mortgage rates, homes continue to go under contract, showing that demand remains healthy. So that's not why we're seeing yet prices soften. Instead, we're seeing a market where both buyers and sellers are adapting. Buyers are becoming a little more selective, and sellers are realizing that thoughtful pricing and strong presentation matter more as buyers gain more choices. Okay, so what does all this mean? If you've been feeling burned by those bidding wars, I love to shop with you in August. It's a great time to jump back into the market and pay attention. Not because homes are just suddenly cheap, not because competition has necessarily disappeared, but because the market is beginning to feel just that little bit more manageable. Homes are still selling quickly, prices remain strong, and demand is healthy. But if you're a buyer, you may finally have just that extra little bit of breathing room to make a little bit of a smarter decision for you. And for sellers, it is still an excellent market, but as buyers gain more confidence and a few more options, preparation and pricing do become even more important. The market isn't slowing down necessarily, it's just settling a little bit into this late summer rhythm. Thank you, August, for your sunshine. So everybody, thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to talk about what these numbers mean for you and your specific goals, I would love to help. Please reach me at julie@ridgelinerealestate.com or DM me on socials. Thanks everyone, I'll see you next month.